Hi there, John Owens here, product owner for the API Portal team. I just want to do a quick demo on the public API capability within API Portal and using a second use case on how to control public and private APIs with a single portal instance. So there's a couple of steps again to configure this. So in API Manager, we will create an organization designated for private APIs. We'll create a user in that organization, and we will grant access for this org to APIs that you want to be private to users of that org only. And then we'll see how this looks in API Portal, where some APIs will be public, no auth or no login, sign in required, and some will be private, where you are required to sign in. So let's hop over to API Manager to see how we can configure this. So in my manager instance, let's just have a recap. So right now we have John public org. We have one API configured for that, API 1, and we have one user in this public org, John public user. That user is used as the connection between the Joomla admin interface, John public user. This is what Portal, these are the credentials that Portal uses to connect to that manager instance. So over on Portal, when you configure public mode to be on and you expose an API in this way to that organization, I'm not signed in and API 1 is exposed publicly. So just to quickly run through an additional set. So if we add in API 2, in here into the John public org, we go back to our API portal. We should see API 1 and 2 now in the public domain. Okay, great. So how do we see public and private APIs in the API portal? So this is what the public side of that equation looks like. How you could manage your private APIs is by creating a John private, another organization to house your private orgs or your private APIs. John private org. And we'll give it some users. We give it a user. John private user. And we will do john2 at email.com. We'll make sure he's in my private org, and we'll leave him at the user/application developer role. Create that. Okay, so now when you'd expect, because John private user is part of the John private org, we've no APIs associated with them just yet, or with that org, I should say. So when you log into Portal, you should not see any APIs. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, publicly we can see 1 and 2. And let's go ahead and log in. Let me just go back and check his password. Okay. Okay, so there's new password expiration rules in place. So I'm prompted to change it on first login. This is a feature in release 7.7 coming soon. Okay, this is another insight into a new feature around privacy policy support in 7.7. So we can just accept that. So we saw API 1 and 2 in the public domain, and once you log in, I'm noticing a caching issue here. You should not see 1 and 2 in here right now. So bear with me while I just sign out and sign in again. You should see no APIs exposed to this user. Okay, so I've taken note of that caching issue for engineering. Right, so if we go back to our API manager, let's give this organization some APIs. So let's give it API 3. Okay. Okay, so now we have a scenario where once logged in, I see the APIs that are associated with this private organization. So I see API 3. Once I log out, I see what's left in the public domain, API 1 and 2. So this is just one way that you can configure your API portal to serve up APIs in the public domain versus the private domain. Thanks for watching.